Coming up on No Pulp, Luke, you know that feeling when college basketball and college football start to cross over?
It's called
It's
crossover
the best
season.
feeling in the world. Crossover season, that is. And that's what we had this past week. Some of the best games from around the country. We got you covered.
We've also got the start of a Juicer extravaganza. The Juicer tournament kicks off with 2 different competitions.
And that's the 3rd ever Juicer tournament. So we're just getting into the swing of things here with some of the best debaters at our station. We also got our top plays and our final words. Stay with us on No Pulp.
The best performance, I think, all year from Ohio State against Oregon in the Rose Bowl.
They just don't lose at the shoe. She's the best player in women's college basketball in my eyes.
To stay alive. Can they hook 'em? Touchdown!
They have the most prolific goal scorer of all time.
He will fire.
He's the guy.
I'm the guy.
Ian's the guy today.
Experience is what matters when it comes to Omaha.
Valuable. You know the
Hold
number
on.
that's everything for a
Hold
team.
on.
First time, how are we feeling, Jake?
I'm excited to win the Juicer.
Welcome into our CitrusTV studios. Adam Avin and Luke Burgess here with you. Not Adam Gotkin. This feels kind of weird. You're not with Sam Reis, but those 2 names are playing in the Juicer tournament tonight, and we will show you the bracket that is going to be taking place over the course of the next couple weeks. We're focusing on the left side of the bracket tonight, Luke. You and I will both be moderating 1 each. We have 1 seed Sam Reis versus 8 John Boccio, and Hudson Ridley and Adam Gotkin as well. It's going to be a fun time.
I mean, yeah, there's a lot of excitement, no question. I'm definitely glad that we're getting this side of the bracket than the other. I think there might be some fireworks over there, but yeah, I'm excited.
I mean, plenty of fireworks that we're going to see tonight. Stay tuned for the Juicers later in the show. But we got to start off talking college football like we always do, some of the biggest games from the week. And we start with Texas A&M and South Carolina. The Aggies completing their largest comeback in school history, defeating the Gamecocks 31-30, one of the most spectacular performances in a second half, Luke, that I have ever seen. What Marcel Reed and team did in the second half was a sight to see.
Yeah, I mean, you have to talk about the first half first, though, because Reed could have thrown 5 picks. Yeah. I mean, you know, you see South Carolina go on and drop a couple of them, but he only ended up throwing 2 and then come out in the second half and play essentially perfect football. I mean, that is a sight to behold. I guess it, to some degree, speaks to the character that this Aggies team has this year. They're clearly one of the top teams to contend with, not only in the SEC, but in the country. But, I mean, my goodness, to turn around and go out and score 28 unanswered in the second half after a first half that was just so draining momentum-wise. I mean, it looked like fans were leaving the game at some point, and I think that it's really, really impressive to see what they did out in the second half.
Mike Elko, after the game, talked about what he said to his team at halftime. Take a listen.
Honestly, not much. Like all we talked about was, we have an identity of who we are. If we play to our identity, we're a good football team. If we start thinking that's not who we are, if we start thinking we're something else, if we start trying to play a different way, that's not us. That's not who we are.
He didn't say anything to his team, Luke, at halftime, he said. And they're 10-0 for the first time since 1992. Talk about identity. This team has it, and they are winning games like that. Are you kidding me?
Well, I mean, what are you really supposed to say? The team's losing by that much. I think really more of the hurt is on South Carolina in this game for absolutely blowing it, because I don't care.
How do you do that?
I don't care how much you were down. If the team that you're playing doesn't play poorly, you're not going to come back. If you play sound football for 30 minutes of the game, you're going to win, especially with a lead like that. And Texas A&M, yes, give them credit. They played perfectly, but South Carolina once again comes up short, and what a disappointing season. I mean, remember at one point, Lenora Sellers was being talked about as a potential Heisman candidate.
The #1 pick.
And now the season has fallen apart for the Gamecocks. It's pretty dire at this point, and you expect probably some changes coming in the near future there.
But not Mike Elko, who just signed a contract extension, and he's going to be there long-term. The Aggies on a hot streak. They look like they're rolling right now.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting stuff. Of course, one of the games of the week, Texas and Georgia. This really the last chance for Texas, and they fail miserably. Georgia, a 35-10 win in Athens. Arch Manning really officially kind of, I would say you consider now this season a failure.
Yeah. I mean, easily. Coming in kind of like Lenora Sellers as a Heisman favorite, everybody expecting the Sarkisian offense to click like it did just a season ago. But we haven't seen the game from Arch Manning like Gotkin Stockton just had in this one. He accounted for 5 total touchdowns in this game. Yes, he threw 1 interception, but the more jarring stat to me, it's highlighted. He only incompleted 5 passes. We talk about the play action in the Georgia offense, the ability to fake out the defense. He had a touchdown where he bit on a run, the whole defense chased after him, and just lobbed it straight into the end zone. Gunnar Stockton, that Georgia offense, impressed me so much in that win, and it just showed the stark difference in how Arch Manning has played this year and what everybody expected it to. Everybody expected Texas's offense to play like how Georgia did in that game, and we saw it one time against Vanderbilt, and that was a fluke.
And this was kind of the outcoming, I guess you could say, for Georgia to finally have that fast start. A bunch of slow starts in a row. The question was the offense ever going to get going early? And how about the guts from Kirby Smart after Georgia already had 21 points on the board to come out and onside kick it and recover it? That just shows how desperate he was in this game, though. Even though Georgia's been winning football games, there is still a lot of pressure on this team to get going offensively, and Georgia's defense really stands up in this game. Texas's defense actually plays pretty well, too, continuing to give the team chances, but then finally that fourth quarter, the Bulldogs really just break it open. It was just too much pressure. Texas has a great defense, but they couldn't sustain everything. And Gunnar Stockton, like you said, great game from him.
Oh my God, he was amazing. Georgia's one of those teams where even if they're not being talked about in the national conversation or drop a game here and there like they have in past years, they always somehow sneak into the college playoff and just always compete at the highest level, unlike any other team.
That's
great coaching by Kirby Smart. Let's talk about some troubled coaching from this past week. Kalen DeBoer, who has yet to lose a game at home as the head coach of Alabama, lost for the first time to Oklahoma. Number 11, the Sooners defeat the Crimson Tide 23-21. Kalen DeBoer, we talk about choking in some of these games, Luke, over the past couple of seasons, and he showed once again that this is why the fan base doesn't fully have the trust in him just yet.
Gosh, I hate this conversation, but I think more of it should be on Oklahoma's defense, which is, in my opinion, probably the best defense in the country at this point. Whoa. They have really, really stepped up in the second half. You have a bad game against Texas, and since then they have just set the table perfectly for this team, and they go out. I mean, a week ago we were talking about Ty Simpson as one of the guys who likely could win the Heisman.
Okay, but
now
on this play as well, Eli Bowen's 87-yard touchdown interception return, that was a pass interference. It was. Ryan Williams got shoved out of the way by the other defender, and it was an easy interception. Was it the best throw by Ty Simpson in the world? No, but it has a domino effect. And then Bama can potentially kick a field goal. They miss. The kicker is yelling at the long snapper. They have an opportunity to take a lead, and Alabama doesn't blow leads.
I understand that, the conversation about Alabama throughout the year has shifted from one thing to the next based on how good DeBoer actually is as a coach, but consider the fact that John Mateer was pretty bad again in this game. Since that hand injury, he has not played well. 138 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions.
Yeah.
And he rushed the ball 10 times as well, only for 23 yards. So the real thing that this shows me is, Oklahoma's defense is winning them games. This has been a good Alabama offense for most of the season. There have been bumps in the road. Obviously, the loss to Florida State, which has looked worse and worse as the weeks go on, and now this second loss to Oklahoma, who got beat up on pretty good a couple of weeks ago. But Oklahoma, like I said, their defense won them this game. I mean, you allow one of the most, I guess, in-rhythm offenses in the country. It only scores 21 points. You get the pick six. That's huge. It kind of gave them the momentum that they were lacking. I think it's absolutely massive win for the Sooners.
All right, well, we'll see which team from the SEC gets into the college football playoff, and we're going to see which players advance in the Juicer tournament. Luke Burgess moderates that one. Who comes out on top? Stay with us.
That's John Dark right there. That is not Dark. That's John Dark right there. That is not Dark. That's John Dark right there. That is not Dark.
We are back on No Pulp with some new faces, Sam Reis and John Boccio. Guys, welcome to the show. I'm thrilled. Sam, I'm seeing you again on No Pulp. It's a pleasure to be joined by you again.
Absolutely.
In a little bit of a different scenario now because I can't be biased anymore, even though you're my regular co-host.
You were never
Guys,
biased.
welcome to the Juicer
You're
Tournament. Welcome to the inaugural matchup of the Juicer Tournament in the fall of 2025 as well. We'll get right into it. We're starting with defense. Still talking football, no basketball just yet. We'll get into that a little bit later in the show. But
Totally fine.
Yeah, that's great.
defense for college football, that's what everyone's talking about in November. Of course, you got to be hard-nosed, play good defense to win games. But players-wise, who right now is the best defensive player in the country? John, we go to you first.
Well, I think it's probably a pretty easy answer for most people, and that's because it's Jacob Rodriguez of Texas Tech. The linebacker is top 15 in almost every single major category, leads the nation in forced fumbles with 7, 55 solo tackles, that's 5th in the country, 13th in total tackles with 100, and you can't discount the picks. Tied for 10th in the nation with 4 in interceptions. I mean, that is just undeniable stuff, and he's doing it on one of the best defenses in the country. I don't know why you're giggling, Sam, because this guy is the clear-cut answer.
No, I'm giggling because there is a clear answer, and you somehow got it wrong. Caleb Downs would be the correct answer, and it's a no-brainer. This guy, if he decides to go, if he decides to not return to Ohio State, I book it. He will be the first safety in 8 years to be drafted top 10 in the NFL draft. That is how stacked this guy is, and he's been doing this throughout his collegiate career now. First freshman in Alabama history to lead the team in tackles. What does he do after that? He transfers to Ohio State, unanimous first-team All-American. This year, he's upped his game even more. Absolutely absurd with his versatility. Not only 46 tackles, but 2 interceptions downfield. He's a safety who is an elite decision maker. He can make plays downfield, the pick suggests that, and then he can also have a burst of speed and make tackles at the line of scrimmage. This guy is the best tackler I've ever seen. Easily the best player.
You don't need to argue for too much longer.
No, I don't.
know that you love guys who have a burst of speed as well.
Yep.
And Caleb Downs, I think, is the clear answer here.
Absolutely.
Round 1 goes to Sam.
Yep.
John, I mean, Rodriguez isn't even the highest ranked player per PFF on Texas Tech's defense himself.
Top 5 in Heisman voting. He is top 5 in Heisman voting.
You already lost the point. You can only hurt yourself more now. We're moving on.
They get it wrong all the time.
Guys, calm down.
Yep.
Question 2, the least impressive win from last weekend. John, once again, we'll start with you first.
Well, I think this answer is pretty clear-cut, and I know you're going to disagree, Sam, but it's Ole Miss over Florida, and that is so obvious to me because, look, this is a top 5 Ole Miss team at home, not mind you, that had to get dogged out by a single pass interference that got called back. The flag got thrown, picked back up, and guess what? That held Florida off of a first down. They get that first down. They're in a red zone. They tie that game up or go up in that game. This is a 3-7 Florida squad going up against a, once again, now top 5 Ole Miss. That is a far less impressive win than anything else on the table just because of what Ole Miss is supposed to be and what we know that Florida is.
All right, well, every SEC game is a challenge. That shouldn't be surprising at all that Florida made that a game. So
it absolutely
should
be surprising.
Least impressive win is a no-brainer. It's Georgia Tech over Boston College. I mean, they almost lost this game. You were talking about an SEC game. This is an ACC game where Georgia Tech, an ACC contender, went against easily the worst team in a bad conference. What's BC's only win of the season? Do you know?
Couldn't even tell you.
It would be Fordham. That's it. That doesn't even count. They've lost 10 straight. It's a terrible Eagles team. And this Yellow Jacket squad was trailing by 11 in the 4th quarter. Haynes King had to work his voodoo magic to pull out the victory and avoid catastrophe.
Sam,
nothing about this was impressive.
If anything, that should make it more impressive.
It's going to hurt you more. All right, this is a pretty clear-cut win for me. I have 2 points, got to go to Sam, and that's because that's a 2-point game, John.
The ACC is so weak. Every team in that conference is bad. Every team in that conference is bad.
Chill out. A 10-point win is much, like you said, a much more
How
competitive
is that
conference
impressive?
in the SEC.
They are
We're
top
moving
5 in
on.
the country, going against a 3-7 Florida.
Stop having a
Third
tantrum
question.
over there. We still have
The
to play.
most underrated quarterback in college football at this point of the year. You guys got to settle down as well. It's going to hurt you here. Come on.
Yeah,
Keep it cordial.
I'm settled.
Starting
I'm
with
chilling.
you, Sam.
This guy's
Clearly
having a
you are
tantrum. It's Haynes King. He's still underrated 100%.
That is
this guy
laughable.
still does not get the respect he deserves. And I will tell you why. This is someone who is quite literally carrying Georgia Tech. Their defense is atrocious, and that's why they almost lost that BC game. And King, what makes him unique compared to everyone else is the dual threat he poses, right? This is someone who is making Georgia Tech a college football playoff contender. If he wasn't on the team, they would not be ranked, and he's still not getting enough credit because of how much of a baller he is. I think we should give him the Heisman right now for what he's doing. I mean, nearly 400 pass yards the last 2 games, and he's also the leading rusher on the team, and he's still not getting enough respect.
I would like
then
the
I get
audience,
to respond to
I
him.
would like the audience to know that he just said Haynes King should win the Heisman. If anybody
and he's not getting that type of recognition
if
at all.
anybody should be in the Heisman conversation and you want to call them underrated, that is absolute insanity. That's why Joe Fagnano is by far the most underrated quarterback.
The guy who
in
played
college
terrible
football.
this weekend.
The guy that played terrible maybe this weekend, guess what? He still only has 1 interception on the season on 70 less attempts than Haynes King, who has 2 to himself. These are not bad teams. UConn has loaded up their schedule this year as an independent team that has played multiple good games. 25 touchdowns to just 1 interception is absolutely remarkable. And if people are not recognizing that because he is on UConn, that is what makes him underrated. Georgia Tech is a ranked program.
He got to respond to me. I don't need a response, actually.
You're right. You don't, because, Sam, it's going to be a clean sweep in the juicer. 3 points for you, Haynes King. Georgia Tech. Haynes King has Georgia Tech in the college football playoff conversation. Joe Fagnano is playing his 7th season in college football. You would expect him to have figured it out.
No one knows who he is. The question is underrated, and no one knows who Joe Fagnano is.
We don't need that bonus question. Sam Reis, the 1 seed, moves on into the semifinals. He'll take on the winner
Adam, get
of
ready
Andrew
to lose.
And Adam Avin. And we'll be back with some college basketball talk. We've clearly had enough of college football. When we return, No Pulp rolls on. We're talking early season madness ahead of Feast Week in the Hoops world.
Dad, they took over my bedroom. Come on, come on. Okay, Dad. 1, 2, 3. Dad! You saved me. Dad?
Are you okay?
I'm fine, dear.
Your hero needs you now, and AARP is here to help. Find the care guides you need at aarp.org/caregiving.
Back here in our CitrusTV studio, Luke Burgess and Adam Avin. We're moving on from whatever that football craziness was and talking about the best college sport, college basketball.
Wow.
That's
right.
Kind of a hot take. Maybe I should be on the juicer, but unfortunately they didn't let me this year. Yeah, exactly, because I lost way back when. Anyway, we're talking about some of the best games early on in the season. There have been a lot of them, Adam. We'll start Houston and Auburn. The Cougars coming away with a 1-point win, 73-72. I mean, this is a class matchup early in the season. If you want to see talent, these are two of the best. And Houston just comes out on top in the final moments. This game could have gone either way.
Well, it could have gone either way, but Houston had this locked up so far in advance, and they blew it. They were up almost 20 points in this game, and they completely lost it. Joseph Tugler, who's one of the best defenders in the country, and last year was exceptional down the stretch in March Madness, gets in a foul trouble early. He gets 2 fouls. And then everything starts unraveling. Todd Pettiford was chucking up threes and missed 5 of them, and somehow, in some way, still got Auburn back into the game. Houston and Emmanuel Sharp and all of these guys so inconsistent down the stretch, and yet this team is still exactly what it was a year ago. The offense, okay. The defense, still spectacular. They just have no depth, and when Tugler goes down, that's when things start to get out of hand. You're in trouble.
Well, the thing with Auburn, they're a team strategically built around offense, and when you lose Bruce Pearl and his son takes over, the philosophy is not really going to change very much.
Sure.
And Houston showed how good its defense was, because they absolutely neutralized a team that is built on offense.
Right.
And that's why they come away with this win. Now, granted, it could have gone either way. The final seconds of this game, it looked like there was 0.2 on the clock. They go back and put 1 second on. Auburn doesn't really come up with much of a play in response. They try to lob, and Houston just continues to show why they are going to be a consistent contender as with Kelvin Sampson as the head coach every single year, no matter who's on the floor.
Always. And what's funny? In his contract as well, his son will be taking over Houston when Sampson is done. So maybe years down the line, we'll have a matchup of the son head coaches. Either way, something that's a nod on this full screen right here, talking about the final minutes, is who I think is one of the best players in the country, Kingston Flemings, the point guard for Houston. Oh my God, is he excellent. And I know this is a little bit of recency bias, but he really reminds me of a guy like Walter Clayton Jr. from last year, who could just
small sample size, but I see where you're coming from.
Small sample size, but brings the energy and can shoot lights out when he is hot. The only issue is he only had 4 points in the second half. If he can get going, 18 first half points, oh my God, this Houston team could be a real threat if he's leading the whole way. One of the other games I have to talk about was some new faces in college basketball as well. BYU and AJ DeBonsa taking on UConn. And this game was also fiery down the stretch, like a lot of the games from this weekend were when we talk about intensity, but ultimately it was the Huskies that came away with an 86-84 victory, Luke. And these two teams were battling another one where it felt like a team was running away with it, and somehow, some way, BYU gets back into the conversation late.
Yeah, that second half, compared to the first half, it's a huge difference offensively. Both these teams took a little bit of time to wake up, but then you see 52 and 50 points apiece in the second half, and the shooting really gets going. But when you look up and down the roster in this game, DeBonsa already is easily the most potent offensive threat for BYU.
100%.
That is a very exciting team to
watch. And you know what? He's not a forward either. He's a guard. He's a slashing guard because he handles the ball so well. He's lighting up every stat category. It's phenomenal what he can do just as a freshman.
Yeah, you also have to give a ton of credit, I think, to Dan Hurley and the ability that he's shown to retool that team.
Yeah.
Think about what we were looking at a year ago with Dan Hurley, him crashing out in early season tournaments over the fact that UConn was losing games on close calls, and now you've got guys like Caravan shooting 4 for 4 in this game. They've really restructured their offense with players, but they're running the same system and they're making it work. And I think the stock was down a little bit last year on Dan Hurley. 100%. It should be right back up because this is one of the best teams in the country. They've already shown as a program that they have ability to compete for a national championship on a year-in, year-out basis, and I don't see any reason why that's going to change this year.
Well, the only thing is Solo Ball had just 8 points in this one, and Alex Caravan, you mentioned it. Yeah, he went 4 for 4, but it's not like the thing. I just don't know if he's a guy with some of the pieces they had last year. Even I don't know if he can be the guy that can lead this team back to a national championship. Is this team surely good enough to make the postseason? 100%. And honestly, I think even early in the season at this point, I know BYU's inexperienced. You could say the same thing about them. But what Dan Hurley's doing right now, even to win that game with some of his star players not performing to the best of their abilities, is phenomenal. And it just continues to prove that basketball is a coach's game.
Yeah, they didn't really shoot the ball that well in the second half. Like you said earlier, BYU really caught fire. But, it's an all-around impressive performance, I think, for them to hold them off in that second half, despite the big surge from the Cougars.
And you know what's crazy, too, is BYU started to come back just a little too late. If there was 30 more seconds left in that game, AJ DeBonsa and BYU are winning that basketball game. 100%. 30 seconds more, and they got it.
It was a 2-point game, so I don't know what else you expect. He sucked in the first half, but figured it out, showed exactly what he can do in the second half. Like you see there, 7 for 8 from the field. That is a guy who's really confident. And you have to keep in mind, too, he's a young guy. He's still settling in to how to play college basketball. So there's a lot of work to be done. A game that had a little bit less offense, Arizona and UCLA, and included one of my favorite freshmen to watch in the country, although he didn't play very well, Koa Pete, with just single-digit points. Arizona does come out on top still, though, 69-65. And Adam, Arizona, once again, they are a powerhouse team offensively, but first time that they've been held not only under 80 points, but under 70 points all season. So a lot of credit to what UCLA did in this game. But Arizona's an all-around really well-coached team. They come away with a win.
Here's the thing, and this is what we know about Arizona every single year, is that they always choke when it comes to the postseason. But what we do know right now is that they clearly look like one of the best teams in the country. I mean, oh my God, were they good. I mean, the first week of the season, they beat the defending champs Florida, my Gators, and Co-op Pete had a great game. He had 26 points in that one. But in this one, he only had 7. And Krivas, the center they got, he only had 10. But I can tell you that these two guys together on the floor are difficult to deal with. 38 points in the paint. And that was without them two playing extremely well. This team is aggressive, they're slashers, they get to the hoop. And against a team like UCLA, you said it, who played really well defensively in this one.
Outshot them significantly from beyond the arc.
And 40 points scored by both teams in the second half for Arizona to still come away with the victory. And we've seen them perform better in some games this year. This team, the Wildcats, could be difficult to reckon with as the season continues. But I just have no faith in them from years past of being a bona fide title contender. But what I do know is that right now, it would not shock me if they compete to win the conference because they just look so difficult to stop from all aspects of the floor.
Yeah, they've got a lot of really well-rounded players, guys who can play defense and offense. I think that's the thing that sticks out to me. But like you said, postseason success has been a real struggle. But I think the real draw of watching this team this season, like I said, I know he had a bad game, only 4 points, but Co-op Pete is going to be one of the players to watch in all of the country,
100%.
Let alone freshmen.
Oh, yeah.
I would say the favorite right now probably for freshman of the year, even though it is early on in the season, but it dismantled Florida, the defending national champions, another top 15 win. And they have a pretty crazy upcoming schedule as well, playing a lot more teams at the top. That's one of the things you notice. These teams that consistently are in the top of the rankings, they are scheduling hard games early. And that is a characteristic, no question, of the best teams in the nation.
And this team specifically has more depth than it's had in the past. Anthony Delorso, who came over from Campbell, came off the bench.
20 points off the bench to lead the team.
And this isn't like we talked about with Houston, which is just such a great all-around team, but they literally only have 5 players. And Kelvin Sampson, if they're not in foul trouble, is playing these guys 38 minutes in the ballgame. Arizona has guys that you can pick and plug that can come off the bench and shoot lights out. The rest of the team, out of Delorso, missed almost all of their 3-pointers in that game. So Arizona, a team to be reckoned with that depth, but exciting to watch.
Shows they can win in different ways as well. We've got more juicer action coming up, some college basketball talk this time. Adam Gotkin and Hudson Ridley join Adam Avin back at the wall when we come back.
Welcome to my house. Lately, not my happy place. Everybody's pretty tired of each other. The parents were not themselves. My little brothers were morphing into small creatures. The walls were closing in. Clearly, a case of too much family, too close, 24/7. And there's a lot of that going around right now. If this sounds like your house, try going someplace new. YourLifeYourVoice.org. You'll find lots of ideas to help you handle the family stresses of being confined to close quarters. YourLifeYourVoice.org. It might not get you out of the house, but it could help you find a little more breathing room.
Juicer Tournament rolls on. I'm back with my normal no-poll partner, Adam Gotkin. Welcome back to the Juicer Tournament. Hudson Ridley, welcome back to the Juicer Tournament as well. It was a rough one for you last time.
It was heartbreaking, but let me tell you what, I'm down, but I'm not out. I keep coming back. One semifinal loss, one final loss. Just got to keep pushing.
All right, well, we got the 2 and the 7 seed kicking things off here right now. Gotkin, I'm going to start with you, and we're going to start with basketball like we've been talking about in the show so far. Which men's basketball team will be the most exciting to watch this year? We've talked about a few already. Who you got?
It's the BYU Cougars team that you talked about already. Look, it takes a lot for me to switch college football to college basketball at this point of the season, but I was locked into that BYU against UConn game because the Cougars are just unbelievable to watch. AJ DeBonsa is incredible. I mean, he's an athlete. You said him. He's listed as a forward. He's really a guard. Robert Wright coming over from Baylor was one of the most entertaining freshmen in the country. He's just as good. They, of course, have the white guy that you need to make threes at BYU, Richie Saunders, who was first team All Big 12 last season. And they're essentially an NBA team playing in college. That's why DeBonsa went there, because Kevin Young, their head coach, has a bunch of NBA pedigree, and that's how they play. They're down by 16. They're down by 5 3 minutes later. They are never out of the game. You said it. If they had 30 more seconds, they would have won. BYU is so fun to watch this year. They've got $15 million on that team, and it's paying off.
All right, Hudson.
Would have won. Here's the other problem, too, with
entertaining.
that.
Who cares if they won?
Louisville is 10 times more entertaining because of the pace and speed that they play with. Pat Kelsey took a team that a few years ago was 8-24, and now this past year, they only had 8 losses in that entire season. They were fantastic, and Pat Kelsey deserves a lot of recognition, but what they've done this year is unbelievable. They're scoring 103 points a game by blitzing the heck out of everybody. Every possession down the floor is an instant pop. Guys driving, fun baskets, big time slams because they have athletes now. Everything is being put together, and right now on every part of the floor, Michael Brown is another freshman that we do not focus on. He's averaging 20 points per game. That leads the team as a freshman, and the transfers that they brought in have been fantastic. Because of the pace that they play with, constantly blitzing teams, to me, there's nothing more exciting than constantly taking it at a team and drilling them. That is exactly what Louisville does.
They're playing no one.
Well, here's the
they
thing.
played Kentucky, and they beat them.
Here's the thing. I have 2 things to say. Number one, I appreciate how much calmer this juicer is than the last one. This is great. I expect it to get fiery, but this is awesome.
Oh, we let our take speak for themselves.
Exactly. And my second point is that Hudson Ridley gets the first point because Louisville is scoring 100 points a game right now in terms of their average. Awesome. And I know for a fact that this guy also loves Louisville too.
Yeah, he's got Cardinal Red
too, but they're not as exciting. The question isn't who's the best team; it's who's the most exciting to watch.
I know. But right now, Pat Kelsey, we know how exciting he is. AJ DeBonsa is a great player though, and he is exciting to watch. But I think Louisville right now as a team is a little bit more exciting. All right, Adam, we're going to continue with you here. We've been talking about some of the best freshmen in the country, some of the best players. Is there a freshman that stands out to you the most in college basketball, men's or women's?
It's Darren Peterson, I think. Look, you're talking about a guy who has been said by Bill Simmons to be the best guard prospect since Kobe Bryant. There's not a single weakness in his game, whether it's three-point shooting, he's over 50% this year. The way that he plays on defense, he's so unbelievably active. He's getting 2 steals per game. He's able to guard basically 1 through 5, even though he's pretty small, just because of how long his arms are. And he's just commanding this Kansas team, which, to be honest, is not good around him. And yet they kept it close against North Carolina in the first half. I know you might say he's got a hamstring injury. He's fine. There's questions about whether he's going to play a game in November. He's going to be okay. He will play next week probably. Darren Peterson is an unbelievable basketball player. And again, best guard prospect since Kobe Bryant is what the NBA experts are saying.
You're giving me a lot of questions still about this guy, though, a guy that I have absolutely 0 questions about. You saw some of his film in there with North Carolina. It's Caleb Wilson who beat Darren Peterson by double-digit points. He was fantastic because he's got size, length, speed, agility, and he's a guy that even with all the big names came out of nowhere and he's stunned. There are very few athletes like him. I mean, oh my goodness, the vertical is ridiculous. But the fact that his wingspan makes him so versatile is the best part. I mean, oh my God, did you see that? The good thing, too, about him is that he's a versatile scorer. He can shoot from the mid-range, he can shoot from behind the arc, but his length and his athleticism is really what gets it done. The biggest thing that I look at, though, and a guy that I find fun and exciting to root for and watch, is how much passion he has for UNC. He loves his school. So much to the point where if he came back, even as a guy who's going to be a lottery pick, I wouldn't even be shocked. That's how much he loves it.
He doesn't love him enough to play defense. I mean, he gave up like 4 wide open threes against North Carolina Central because he doesn't play defense. He just sits back there and lollygags the whole time.
Well, here's my thing. I don't think Hudson and I have talked about this at all, but outside of AJ DeBonsa, there are very few players that have impressed me this year like Caleb Wilson has. And so Hudson gets this point as well. I do think he's up there as one of the best freshmen in college basketball.
Yeah.
I'm surprised none of you picked Cameron Boozer.
There's so many great options.
There's so many of them. He talked about that last week as well on this very program. All right, we're going to continue your Hudson. This question is worth 3 points. Adam, still has a chance to get back in it. Tell me, what unranked team are you most confident in right now?
NC State. And let me tell you what.
Number 25, NC State.
Let me tell you what. They just got the bump to number 25. But when we thought about this,
on this show.
When we thought about this, though, NC State There's no reason they should not have been ranked, and there's a good reason why. Remember when I said 103 points per game for Louisville? Yeah. NC State leads the country with 106. Want to know why? Because they have Will Wade as their head coach. And you know what Will Wade does, besides illegal things? Win basketball games. He's fantastic. He is fantastic. Everywhere he goes, he is fantastic because he used to pay players and now he can do it legally. Darian Williams also may be the best three-point shooter in the country. It electrifies this team. 65% from three for him. And oh, by the way, Quadir Copeland is averaging 15 points on that team. Shout out Quadir Copeland, former Syracuse legend.
I mean, he should be disqualified. They're ranked number 25th. It's the best unranked team. Also, earlier today, they barely beat VCU. I love VCU. You love VCU.
I do love VCU.
They barely beat VCU. That's not a very good team. Not a very good VCU team. To me, it's Indiana. Look, this is not Mike Woodson's Indiana. We live in a world of college basketball where things can change in an instant, and that is what has happened with the Hoosiers. They brought in a great coach. It's as simple as that. Darren DeVries knows what he's doing. He was incredible at Drake. He had a one-year pit stop at West Virginia when his best player got hurt, and now he's at Indiana and has completely changed things. They made more three-pointers in their first game with DeVries than they ever did with Mike Woodson, and they've got absolute stars on this team. Tucker DeVries, of course, a former All-American when he was at Drake. He's incredible. Lamar Wilkerson, their other best player, was at Sam Houston last year, first-team All-Conference, and Taylor Connerway was the Sun Belt Player of the Year. There are so many elite players on this team. They beat Marquette by 23 points, dominating a good Big East team, top 30 in the country in offensive and defensive efficiency. Look, this is a great Indiana Hoosiers team.
Here's the thing. You made a great argument for NC State. But they are now ranked.
That was the problem.
That was the problem. Adam Gotkin gets the 3-point. Darren DeVries really is a great coach, by the way, as well. All right, we're going to our bonus question. This is it to advance in the Juicer tournament. Hudson, you get first pick here. Most overrated men's basketball coach in the country right now.
Easily John Calipari, and let me tell you why. He only has one national championship win, and I'm just going to list the players that he's coached, and you're going to listen to this.
Okay.
Derrick Rose, John Wall, Anthony Davis, Boogie Cousins, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, De'Aaron Fox, Julius Randle, Karl Anthony Towns.
That's a lot.
Bam Adebayo, Tyler Hero, the list goes on.
Don't cater to me.
Perfectly properly rated. Everyone knows at this point that he is a great talent evaluator, not that good of a coach. Everyone knows that. People still think for some reason that Brad Underwood is still a good coach. He has had stars as well at Illinois and not really done anything with them. He's made it past the first weekend once, and he's already got a contract extension to 2030. Everyone knows Calipari's bad. People still believe in him.
Here's the thing. You did very much earn that last question. Unfortunately, John Calipari is clearly the most overrated coach in college basketball right now.
He's not overrated. Everyone says
he doesn't win. Hudson advances. I'm sorry I got your hopes up. You did deserve it, that last one, but Hudson advances here as the 2 seed. He will face off against, oh boy, Max Gifford or Ben Chadwick. I'm sorry if you face that 3 seed. We continue here on No Pulp with our plays of the week and final words. Stay with us.
They call me Maxie, but I prefer tripod. I was your above-average 4-legged homie, and then wham, bam, minivan. Some people pity me. Now that's lame. I still run, fetch, and swim. And the ladies love me. I'm the ultimate wingman. Just don't ask me to high five.
Welcome back for the final time in this episode of No Pulp. That's Luke. I'm Adam. We're going to waste absolutely no time because we've showed you some of the highlights throughout today's show, but we're going to end off with our plays of the week. And I'm going to start here with something that I found absolutely insane. DJ Armstrong from UMBC. You might remember them from a few years ago. He gets his step back, bang, game-winning three-pointer with a second left on the clock. That was on Tuesday. This was on Tuesday. Okay, left-hander, boom, step back, makes the shot. That was one game winner. And then he did this yesterday, late at night, chucks it up, and cashes it. Hits 2 buzzer beaters in 1 week. DJ Armstrong Jr. put his name on the map for UMBC. 2 buzzer beaters in 1 week. I know I'm cheating a little bit, but that's a player of the week who completed 2 plays of the week. You got to give credit.
Incredible, but like I said earlier, I love to talk about football until we absolutely cannot anymore.
Fair.
Jakeem Stewart had one of the craziest interceptions that you will ever see, and certainly one of the craziest this week, off of one of the wildest bounces ever. Iowa, look at this. It kicks off his foot. He catches it and turns around. That is unbelievable.
Oh my God.
Not only the fact that he actually caught it to begin with, but the fact that he then actually turns around and makes a play. The fact that he realizes that ball's in the air. I mean, that is immaculate reception and then some. Some incredible stuff for Jakeem Stewart. My goodness, he is a special player making some crazy plays.
Certainly, Luke. And now we're going to get serious a little bit. In sports, there are certainly highs and unfortunately tragic lows. The college football world sadly lost a remarkable leader on Friday. John Beam, the football head coach at Laney College in Oakland, California, was shot and killed. He was just 53 years old. Beam made national headlines in 2020 when he and his team were filmed for the popular Netflix documentary series Last Chance U. More importantly, he made an impact on thousands of players' lives as the head coach of Laney. Some who made it all the way to the NFL. It was difficult, but current Chicago Bear Nashawn Wright tried to put into words what Coach Beam meant to him.
He meant the world to me. When my dad was killed, he came to my house and got me out the bed, and someone I can confide in, someone that I love dearly. We talk once a week easily. Really at loss for words.
And on Sunday, when the Bears played against the Vikings, it was Wright who got an interception. And then he went and kneeled down and he pointed up to the sky, a tribute to his former coach. He's just one of many of the players who commented on Coach Beam's passing over the past few days. Coach Beam will be missed, and his influence on college football is incredibly unique. But his memory lives on through his family, his players, and so many more.
A really touching story, Adam, and very important. This much less important, but still interesting. There are plenty of juggernauts in college football at the moment, but not many people are recognizing one of the only remaining undefeated teams in the country. Harvard football is 9-0 for the first time in more than a decade. Quarterback Jaden Craig has had an unbelievable season, and really until this weekend, the Crimson hadn't even played a close game. A 16-point win against Columbia was the tightest margin all year up until this point. But Harvard took on Penn in search of getting one step closer to perfection against one of its most bitter rivals and against the squad that prohibited back-to-back undefeated seasons in 2015 for the Crimson. This Saturday was exactly 10 years to the day from when the Quakers put an end to a perfect record for Boston's Ivy League squad. As the clock wound down, it looked like it would become a similar story as that fateful day a decade ago. But in the final seconds, sophomore Kieran Core drilled a 53-yarder to give Harvard a 2-point lead in the eventual win. The Massachusetts native proved that he is not only clutch in the classroom, and now his squad is still undefeated heading to the most important week of the season. A win at the Yale Bowl would give Harvard their first 10-0 campaign since 2014 and prove one thing: the nerds can ball.
They can, and I think we're nerds, and we can talk ball pretty well. And this is why I love this show, because you get into those emotional stories. You also get to talk about some sports stories that matter so much to different people all around the country. It's really amazing.
Yeah, I mean, Ivy League stuff is great. That used to be like the epicenter of college football.
Yeah.
Not that long ago in the grand scheme of history. Of course, now we're dominated by the SEC and all this NIL, but there was once upon a time where, the Ivy League chose academics over athletics, and now we are where we are. But it used to be, those Yales, Harvards, those were the peak of all of college football.
Look, if we have another...
Days gone by, right?
It has, and we have a little bit more days until we continue with the Juicer Tournament. I will be there taking on Andrew Delapiana.
I will not.
Who will potentially, the winner of that matchup, takes on number 1 seed Sam Reis. And that's scary. Who's scary?
I know
Max
he
Gifford.
argued for Haynes King.
Yeah.
You could call Sam Reis a rambling wreck of his own, I think. He's coming through ready to steamroll anyone who's coming up against him. That is exciting stuff, though. I will watch the Juicer Tournament as a passerby from afar. It'll be sad that I can't participate, but what a great event.
All right, well, you got to stay tuned next week on No Pulp for the continuation of the Juices tournament. But we're done with this episode. For Luke Burgess, I'm Adam Avin saying so long, and we'll see you next time.